took police several hours to regain control after a second day of unrest, some of the most violent protests for weeks in the capital against the Citizen Amendment law. The fighting was in the districts of Jaffrabad and Bajampura in northeast Delhi between Hindu groups who support the law and Muslim communities. They say the legislation is racist and discriminates against India's Muslim minority.
We were all sitting here peacefully protesting near the Jaffrabad school, and there was no provocation from our side. All the violence that happened took place from their side. The mob came and threw stones at the mosque. They've been making provocative slogans and speeches like "shoot the traitor."
We have figured out that all this violence was pre-planned. They've actually called people to assemble, and there was a plan in place when they attacked us. It also seemed that the local police were on their side. Everyone had a weapon, some even carried a gun. They were the ones who threw the first stones.
As the trouble escalated, a number of people were seriously injured and investigations into the deaths have begun.
It's not clear yet who was responsible for the death of the policeman, but it underlines just how volatile the situation remains here, and it shows the deepening anger that still exists on both sides of this sensitive issue.
This video seems to show Hindu protesters throwing stones while a policeman does little to stop them. These scenes show others setting fire to Muslim property. The video cannot be independently verified. The violence followed threats by Hindu leaders to remove a group of Muslim women whose sit-down protest has forced the closure of a major road. A mosque in Jaffrabad was attacked and cars and homes were set on fire. In efforts to maintain calm, police have imposed emergency measures banning gatherings of more than 4 people. But we saw little being done to enforce the measures.
The relationship between the Hindu and Muslim communities has become bad. And this tension has now spread in other places surrounding this locality and also further afield outside Delhi.
As more security forces were drafted in to guard areas overnight, the flames still burned and local people are fearful of further violence to come.
And we're looking at pictures from moments ago of the official welcoming ceremony shaping up to receive the US president shortly. That ceremony will include a symbolic laying of a wreath at Gandhi's memorial before the two leaders move on for direct talks at Hyderabad House. Let's bring in Tony Bertley. He's live for us in New Delhi. How much of a shadow is the violence casting over this visit by the US president?
I don't think much of a shadow at all. I think probably Donald Trump is not aware of what's going on. He would have had to turn on his TV last night to see those scenes of violence, those terrible clashes. But otherwise, it's business as usual. You could see from yesterday, it's been described as a love-in between the two leaders. They were pampering each other's egos. And Donald Trump is a man, as we know, who respects strength. Mr. Modi is a strong leader. Mr. Trump respects that. He respects Erdogan of Turkey, he respects Putin of Russia. And also, you know, Trump's stand on Muslim issues back in the United States is making it unlikely that he's going to be highly critical of Mr. Modi and this CAA Act, which is causing all the problems at the moment on the streets in various parts of India. We are told by White House officials that he will raise these matters in private today in those talks with Mr. Modi, but he's not likely to be critical. As far as Donald Trump is concerned, he sees the world in a very simple way. I think black and white, good and bad, enemies and friends. And I think very much he sees Mr. Modi and India as a friend, and a very important one as a buffer to China in this part of the world. So I don't think he's going to be critical at all of what's going on. He hasn't mentioned Kashmir, he hasn't mentioned the street protests, but he has mentioned about secular rights and the rights of minorities. But that is what you would expect to hear from him.